it doesn't matter what kind of technology and the strength of your technology that you have in place. Your weakest link is your people. And if you have one weak person in your organization that does something by mistake because they're unaware, then your entire operation is doomed.
Welcome to the /podcast, where we lean into the future of IT by inviting fellow thought leaders, innovators, and problem solvers to slash through its complexity. I'm your host, James Carman, and today we're talking to Cordell Robinson. Cordell is the CEO of Brownstone Consulting Firm and a decorated U.S. Navy veteran. Thank you for your service, by the way, Cordell.
You're welcome.
With more than 25 years in cybersecurity. With degrees in computer science and electrical engineering from Pepperdine and a JD from Georgetown Law, he brings a rare mix of technical and legal expertise to governance, risk, and compliance. Based in Washington, D.C., Cordell helps organizations tackle frameworks like NIST, CMMC, HIPAA, and GDPR, and he's a leading voice in AI governance, warning that as AI adoption accelerates, securing people and process is more important than ever. Welcome to the /Cordell.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never met anyone. I can't recall ever meeting anyone that went to Pepperdine. I've heard of Pepperdine. I'm aware of it, but I've never met anyone that went to Pepperdine. How'd you like your experience there?
Really?
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great because the campus is on the beach, literally. So it's beautiful. The weather's perfect, basically year round. Of course, we have our weather issues in California.
Sure.
But overall, it's probably some of the best weather year round on the planet. So
really? I want to go to Pepperdine like right now because it's like 20 degrees here, and you're in DC, so you have probably similar weather than we do here in Cincinnati area.
I wish I was out there. I should have just stayed, but life.
I know all about that. Yeah, absolutely. And the Navy. So what did you do in the Navy?
I was an intelligence analyst in the Navy. So I was stationed in Diego Garcia first and then Rota, Spain after that. So it was quite an exciting time. I learned a lot. I met a lot of amazing people. I still remember so many aspects of it, of my duties, and of like the amazing people who served alongside me. So I really appreciate what our country does to protect us, and being a part of that is so special.
Absolutely. Did you get to spend a lot of time out at sea?
Zero at sea.
None.
My first duty station was on land, and my next duty station was in the air, basically, on EP3 Aries.
No kidding. Wow. That's cool. Well, again, thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. And for your sacrifices of your time and blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
So you were an intelligence analyst in the Navy. So do you think was that kind of how you got into this idea of cybersecurity? Was that kind of where you got your start, or I don't know? Not
really.
No?
Kind of. So I always I'm a visionary, so I like to put things together. So when I left the Navy, I was trying to find my footing. So I ended up with a job as a software engineer for the Department of the Army, but I was a contractor. And while I was doing software engineering, though it was good, I didn't love it. And so I enrolled in law school. And as I was in law school, I began to see the connection between legal, intel, and technology. And so I was like, oh, and then I started reading this book, CISSP by Sean Harris. This is back in like 2002, 2003. This is so long ago now. And so I went to my boss, who became my mentor at the time, and said, I want to pursue this. He supported me in pursuing it. I read the book several times, took the test. And then from there, I got assigned lots of different, like they call it InfoSec then, lots of InfoSec duties, which was great. And then my next full-time job was doing compliance work. And that's when I really began to get my feet wet really deeply into the compliance arena, which covers all security. And we could talk about that because I know a lot of technical naysayers say that compliance is not real security, but they don't know what they're talking about.
So you got a JD. So
Mhm.
never went for like a bar exam or anything like that. You
Yeah, I took the
just your.
bar. Yeah, I
Oh, you
took
did.
the,
Okay.
yeah, I took
Okay.
the actually, it's so crazy. So I wanted to take what was considered the hardest bar exam, so I took the California bar and the New York
Hmm.
bar because I wanted
Okay.
to challenge myself.
Well,
Even though
that ain't.
I knew I wasn't gonna practice law, but I wanted to do it because I like to challenge myself, challenge my intelligence and my acumen on purpose because it no matter if you use something or not, you kinda do use it in life because
Sure.
it helps you grow,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
Man, well, you didn't mess around picking the New York and California. Those are tough ones, that's for sure. That's the way to do it. All right, fantastic. So you are a renaissance man. You've done a lot of cool stuff. So didn't like the software engineering, so you went back to law school. Just you spent a lot of time in some classrooms. That's good stuff. So I know you mentioned in your bio about AI, and I know we might want to take a step away from AI itself, but that is kind of obviously it's the new hotness, right? Everybody's talking about AI. How much has that disrupted your world and what you do right now?
So it hasn't disrupted my world, but it has caused a lots of, I would say, consternation because um, people are running into it, and I understand why because there's so much money in it. So they're looking at
Hmm.
the dollars first, or whatever currency. So they're looking at the money, and there's a lot of money to be made, and it's wonderful, it's great, and also the use of AI is great if you use it properly. So it's wonderful. But what burns me or annoys me to no end is that governance is not being encapsulated around it. Like it's just not happening. It's happening in some areas, I can't say it's not happening at all. It's happening in some areas. It's just not happening enough. And we are going to, we're heading toward, some major issues that's going to come down the line. So that's really my concern. So I'm trying to scream at the top of the mountain saying, hey, you want to you want to encapsulate it now while it's early because one, it's going to be cheaper.
Hmm.
And two, you don't want to get lawsuits that's going to come down the pike when data's leaked and likeness is stolen and all of these crazy things that are possible. And that's, I believe, is going to happen. So we'll see. There's a lot of regulation going around. I know the EU AA Act. I know the United States is working on a few things, which is great. So we'll see. I like to wait and see when it comes to things instead of just assume. But right now, in the direction of moving so fast, there's going to become a point where everyone's going to have to slow down a little bit to let regulations kind of marry into the process so people can get used to the regulations. Almost just like security, where security was like almost an afterthought for a long time. And so
Sure.
developers would always get angry and like, oh, now I can't create this because security's stopping me. And it's like, no, security's not stopping you. Just don't create code that causes backdoors or don't
Right.
create code that's going to be insecure where your data, it does not have any type of encryption around it. Like, why are we doing that? And like, so just a part of the SDLC process at the beginning, you implement security at the beginning of the SDLC process, at the beginning of the AI development process. So I would say it's the AI DLC.
Hmm. All right.
Then you want to add in or encapsulate your security around that. So I am working with several uh, very intelligent technologists on a few solutions that I can't talk about now, but coming soon to our Theater Near You and Dolby Digital Sound of some really amazing, strong tools that's going to be helpful for everyone, whether you're government or commercial. And so I think that going down that route and coming with a solution instead of me saying, oh, you're wrong. Oh, you need to do this right. And oh, you need to do that. I'm like, you know what? I need to be more solution oriented because I always think that way. And let me come to everyone with these different solutions. And I think that it will be more palatable and more understanding when it comes to that. So, yeah.
I know one of the struggles, kind of the give and take of security, has always kind of been trying to figure out where to draw that line of what is good enough. Because we could have like, we could bake into every piece of software industrial strength, like, preventing nation states from, getting into your stuff. However, some applications don't need that level of they don't
Mhm.
have that level of scrutiny, that nobody's really attacking it. How do you make what does it look like? How do you make those determinations about where to draw that line about what is good enough?
So, and this is a conversation I've been having for quite some time.
Mm.
To be honest, it's very simple and it's extremely basic. What is good enough is making sure that your people are aware.
Okay.
If your people are unaware, it doesn't matter what kind of technology and the strength of your technology that you have in place. Your weakest link is your people. And if you have one weak person in your organization that does something that it could not be malicious, they just do it by mistake because they're unaware, then your entire operation is doomed. So I always start with people first and making sure that they're properly educated, they have the awareness, because once people are aware and they understand, and I go at it angle from personal to professional, how would you protect your personal data?
Mm.
Think about that in the professional arena as well. And I think once people understand that and people begin to realize that, okay, I need to, executives, I need to make sure that all of my people are properly aware and educated. Then I need to make sure that my technology is tight. And then I need to make sure that my processes are in place for my people to follow, because you can tell the people all day long, but if you don't give them processes to follow, then you're going to have major mistakes there. So as people's processes and technologies basically are the foundation to all technology, security, everyday life, how you run your personal life, how you would run your company, making sure that you have that kind of machine going. Like if you don't have any discipline or repetition going on, whether it's your organization or personally, then it becomes a hot mess.
That's a great way to put it, a hot mess. I love that. Uh, and it's so true. I find, and I look back on my career, and when, ignorance is usually, you know, we draw those lines maybe a little bit more too prematurely at times, where we say, oh, well, this is good enough. But if you're ignorant, and I don't mean that in an ugly way, you're unknowing. I mean that not stupid, but unknowing, that you just don't know. You can draw the line and say, well, this is good enough security. This is safe. But then there are attack vectors that people just have, they're just not aware of. And I think that educating the people and making sure they're aware of the different avenues for attacks and all of that sort of stuff, um, that goes a long way, because people might make different decisions about where to draw that line. What is good enough, when about all of the different ways that your software can be exploited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I think, and I was having a conversation just, think it was 2 days ago about this. And I said, at some points in every process, we always need to think and take everything back to the basics, because
Mm.
sometimes simple is better, right? So you take it back to the basics, and that's where you find all of your issues, and that's how you resolve them. If you resolve them at the most simple, basic levels, then everything that's complex begins to fall into place.
And the kind of the threat actors are, a lot of times they will themselves take it back to the basics, because it's not always like, this hacker getting into a computer system and, characters streaming down the screen with the lady in the red dress and all that sort of stuff. It's people messing up, people writing their password on a post-it note. It's real simple stuff. It's not that you don't have to be some advanced technological wizard, right? Sometimes it's just really about people making mistakes, honest mistakes. Is that how prevalent is that these days, even today?
It's very prevalent. So a part of the conversation was how a lot of these hackers, right? So hackers doesn't mean someone that's dealing with just the technology, but it's also social engineering. And so
Mm.
in that conversation, I was saying, a lot of access is gained via social engineering, where you meet someone, you strike up a conversation. If you're a confident person, you like to brag about like what you're doing and your job, and you're oversharing, because people overshare nowadays, especially with social media. It's a lot.
Mhm.
And so now you're oversharing. How much oversharing are you doing? And are you paying attention to your surroundings? Because I've been out at restaurants, I've been out in stores, just out in different places in public. And I listen to like conversations and I hear some things. And I'm like, I can't believe they're actually having this conversation publicly and so loud where you don't know who's around you. You don't know who's near you that's listening when you could be fired for some of the things that you're saying, or you can be more so, you can compromise your personal or your professional, arena. So
Hmm.
like really be cognizant. It doesn't mean like you don't have freedom of speech or don't be, try to be so secretive about everything, but edit yourself when you're in public spaces because you never know who is listening. And why would you want to have such personal, whether personal business or professional personal business, uh out there like it is? Because it's not what do they call it, a flex? It's not a flex. It's
Right.
actually, yeah, it's actually the opposite.
It's not the flex you think it is, that kind of a thing,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. My kids say that to me all the time. We're like, "Oh, you're not cool, dad." You know that. I get
Right.
that a lot. I get it. I get it. Um, so I know we go from social engineering, that those sort of things have been going on. I got to know. You see in the movies, kind of this, I would say this probably classifies as social engineering, but you get like, I want to know how often this sort of thing like happens where you're like, okay, I want to break into a company. I want to learn something about a company and we're going to get a pretty girl to go out to a bar and flirt with a guy that has the right, key card or whatever that we need. And then while they're, laughing and giggling over their drink, you grab their key card and you copy it. And like, does that kind of stuff actually happen? Is that real?
Yes, that happens. So it's very interesting how movies and TV shows tell us what's happening or what's going to happen. If you really like, I don't know how many people really watch movies and TV shows for context clues like that. I would
Hmm.
say quite a few, but then I think majority of the population just watch it for the entertainment. But
Hmm.
for, us, I would say as intellectuals or nerds or whatever, we watch for the context clues and then we begin to connect it to the real world. A lot of times in that movie, there's so many context clues of what's actually happening today, what recently happened, or what's going to happen in the future. I was watching a show a few months ago on Netflix, and they mentioned something, and then a few months later in the news, the same thing was like revealed. And I was like, wow. It's very interesting. I was like,
Yeah.
this is so interesting. And I remember my husband, he was like, oh, like, is that really real? And then I was like, most probably, likely it is. And then a few months later, I was like, we were watching BBC News and I was like, yeah, see? And he was like, oh my gosh, we just watched that. They really, I'm like, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like,
You
they try to
wonder
tell
like,
us through mediums or
yeah.
media, but media
And
as in movies and television shows.
absolutely. I mean, like, you wonder, like, did they know about that happening? And then, somehow they got an inside track on some stuff and they thought before it gets out in the news, I'm going to do a TV show about it. And then later, like you said, and then it comes out and you're like, oh, you
Mhm.
darn, that's really a thing.
It's like
Um,
a whole hidden in plain sight thing.
yeah. Now, we talked a little bit in the prep call about kind of different ways in which people are gaining access to information or, um, facts about you or your company that seem relatively safe. I was thinking about one the other day. I was kind of recalling the conversation we had preparing for this. I went to Whole Foods. I was getting some lunch or something like that, and they've got this deal there where Amazon, I guess because they own them now,
Mhm.
they've integrated like you could just kind of hold your hand over top of this little thing at the register and pay with your hand. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm a technology geek. So I want to see, does this work? How does this, I'm just wanting to play around with technology. But I told my wife about it. And she's like, oh my gosh, what are you crazy? She watches all the NCIS and all that sort of, so she's like, oh, you're insane. Well, why would you put your handprint in a system like that? I'm like, okay, maybe she's right. For once, don't you dare tell her I said she was right. You know what I mean? Like, is that something to be concerned with? Are those sort of things like, should we be wary of that sort of stuff?
Yes and no. So that's a very difficult one because we live in a digital age. So we
Mhm.
live in an age where biometrics is becoming more prevalent, right? Because biometrics is where you can map the identity to a person. And also it lowers the use of like using a lot of passwords and all those things. So my whole thing is like, you can choose to not do that and just, take the extra steps so that you're not doing that. Because the more you do things like that, the more you are putting out your personal digital footprint onto the internet, in which AI is collecting all this data, right? They have these
Mhm.
data centers all over, right? So that's one thing. And even before AI, there's been, all of these data centers, all of these companies, these social media companies collecting our data by what we post, by the information that we're putting into our bios, our different personal information. And then now the biometrics. So, your phone has Face ID or fingerprint. You have laptops with fingerprint Face ID. You can shop and with your hand. This is all collecting data
Mhm.
on you and creating a bigger and bigger digital footprint on you. Now, if you're not a criminal, you're not doing anything, then you don't have too much to worry about, except why would you want so much of your digital footprint out there? So I would say keep less of your digital footprint out there as you can. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean don't, be on social media. It's no big deal, but it's just like, don't disclose so much information and don't disclose so much of your biometrics to so many different mediums.
Yeah, like in the spy movies, you gotta worry about, like, they're gonna cut off my hand and go buy groceries, like, I guess that's kind of a low threat type of thing, but, like, the whole you see the
Yeah,
scenes where they take somebody's eyeball, it's kinda gross, but, I
right.
mean, those sort of things are kinda crazy. How many of these Um, like the things that we once thought were safe, like you mentioned, like fingerprint, and maybe there is retinal scan, maybe, the hand thing, like how many of those are we now like, are they compromised now because of AI and the way that AI can kind of generate these things on the fly readily? Is that which of those are like kind of a problem or becoming more problematic nowadays?
I think they're all becoming more problematic nowadays with AI. It's just as long as there are regulations that are put around it, then we're okay. So I would say that we should be pushing for regulations instead of not pushing for, oh, I want, OpenAI to be like so free and do whatever because it's easier, because people like to be lazy. So don't be lazy,
Uh-huh.
right? It's just the word I heard growing up as a child, like, don't be lazy. But no, for real, like, you want some type of regulation. You want that there because it's not just protecting you like individual, but it's protecting society as well. That's why the regulations are out there. And of course, you can overregulate. So I get
Sure.
that, but there's a balance, right? But you
Hmm.
want some type of regulation so that you know that you have some type of privacy, because I think that just about everyone on this planet really values their privacy more than anything else. They value their privacy to a certain degree. Just about everyone. You can never say 100%, right? But a very high number, like in the 90 percentile, that they value privacy quite a bit. And so if you value privacy, then that means that you want to embrace regulation of some sort. Because, okay, would you want AI cameras to scan you and be able to see through your clothing, or scan to see like your behavior, what you're thinking, what you're feeling? No, because sometimes we have thoughts, fleeting thoughts that goes through our head just because we're human. So why would we want that recorded? It doesn't even make sense, right?
Right.
No one's perfect. If we were perfect people, then who would care? But no one's perfect. So you have all these different thoughts. And sometimes you have thoughts just to get things to analyze and get things process, right? And so that doesn't mean that every thought's going to be positive and wonderful. So why would you want that data recorded somewhere? And it could be used against you in a court of law at some point in the future, right? If
Hmm.
regulation if we don't push for regulations on our privacy.
Yeah, you're getting to like Minority Report level stuff right there. Like where
Right.
we're like, oh, we know you're going to commit a crime, so we're just going to arrest you now, right? Let's just
Right.
go ahead and do it. Yeah. But I'm glad they're not able to record thoughts and stuff, especially like my dreams. You know, how you get like those weird, like
Yeah.
you're talking to someone and they become someone else, and like they probably think I'm nuts if they did that. Yeah. Okay. Um, I know we're trying to become a little more advanced with some of these things. Like I know some financial institutions, fintechs. One of the things they do when you call in for help or whatever, there's this that where they ask you to say some stuff, or they're analyzing your voice to understand are you who you say you are. How secure is that? I often wonder about that. Is it, you see like these deep fakes and stuff on the news,
Mhm.
and how safe is that? Are those compromised now? Can we throw all that out the window? Are we able to do those safely still?
So we are able to do those safely by what's called encrypted voice signatures.
Mm,
So what you do is you make sure that there is a signature, a voice signature encryption that exists. And as long as that exists, and you look at the EULA, the end user license agreement, or whatever the legal agreement there is, then you're fine. But if you're just putting your voice out there and you don't have that, and it's being recorded with just the likeness, right?
hmm
The likeness of your voice, then it can be used. So I know that a lot of people are starting to use these avatars. Well, that's
Right.
great. You're using the avatar, but does it have a digital encrypted signature stating that it cannot be reused for likeness? Are you signing that? Well, one, are you reading it? And then are you signing that in some aspects so that you're legally protecting yourself? Most people don't even think about it. That's just like when you get a new phone and you have the agreement. Most people don't read it at all. They just click accept. And I think there was a movie about that where the person didn't read it and they kept clicking accept. And so these crazy things kept happening to them. And I forget the name of the movie, but it's this same thing. Sometimes I tell people, slow down, take the time to read through certain things, especially when it comes to protecting yourself or protecting your company, whether it's your company or the company that you work for. So yeah, look at that. And so you and then some people don't even know that there's a such thing as a voice signature, right? So that's why we're having this podcast to talk about it. So
hmm
that people can watch this podcast and they can learn something and say, oh, well, now next time I'm going to look for that. Or I'm going to ask that question of that company that, has voice recording. Because you can ask the question and they have to be transparent and tell you, because if they lie, you can sue them.
Now, I was just about to ask that. Like, are the kind of the regulations that were developed in the past? You're thinking like GDPR and those sort of things. Like, do they have to constantly be like upgraded to say like, oh, well, if you're doing voice printing, or if you're doing this, or if you're doing this, you have the right to be forgotten, including that, or do they just kind of use blanket terms like biometrics or anything? Like, do we constantly have to keep upgrading these regulatory requirements?
Yeah, we do. So they don't constantly upgrade them like monthly or like even like really yearly. But
hmm
what they do is they may do may do some changes or updates, right? And they just throw in the updates and say this is update blah blah blah, just like when your phone updates, right? And then also when they have regulations that come out, different laws that come out, they reference like GDPR or CCPA or FISMA or whatever the regulatory framework is. So they reference that and then they add more details to the legislation or regulations that are out there. So then that way that begins to cover it. And legalese try to use as broad language as possible to encapsulate as much as possible so that they can kind of stay ahead in a way. And then that's why you have a lot of attorneys that now in the privacy space, right? So they've been in privacy space for quite some time now, but in the beginning, early 2000s, it wasn't as such. But now there is, just because now you have the legal side and they really understand that, because that's what it's done. And it really helps with that. And then it helps also with the updates because, those regulations are all read by attorneys. And so, and they get approved by, someone with a legal background, which really helps to protect everyone. But I think we all should do our due diligence. And even if it's the short version of these regulations, go and Google the short version.
Mhm.
Go and our even ask, what AI, whatever AI that you use, ask them for the short version of a regulation to kind of read through it, just so that you have a gist of it. But then if you have the time, go and Google or pull up or however you get the data and get the full thing and take some time to read it just like you're reading a book. Because the more you know, the more you learn, the better that you're able to navigate in this world and protect yourself.
Now, I know kind of early on, one of the big, from a legal standpoint and, intellectual property and those sort of things with these AI tools, especially around software engineering, right? Some of the companies we're seeing their employees leveraging these tools to help them write code. Fantastic, great. But there was some folks that were reportedly seeing kind of some of their internal, crown jewel type things and algorithms kind of leaking themselves out into those models, those foundation models, and they're showing up elsewhere.
Hmm.
Um, is that, I think we got a handle on that. I don't know. Maybe not. Is that still a problem still today? Are we still seeing those sort of leakages happening?
So it's still a problem, but it's not as big of a problem because a lot of organizations, both government and commercial organizations, they have added it to their rules of behavior or their NDAs or their whatever their agreements are with their employees. So once they add that language in there, they're holding them accountable, saying,
Okay.
"Hey, if you do this and we find out, then we could sue you and fire you." Sometimes, according to what it is, you can even be prosecuted and go to jail. So, um, it's gotten a lot better with adding that language into those agreements and then making sure that, people sign them. And my thing is, if you sign it, make sure that you read it all the way through because some people just sign it, they don't read it, they go on. And that's where the problem is the people that don't really read it all the way through. And then they go and put the information out there into the AI and then it leaks. And then someone finds out with digital footprint, it could be eventually traced back to you. With a good forensic person, it could be traced back to you very fast. People don't even know how like very fast, within a matter of minutes. So, um, I guess a short answer is yes, it's gotten better, but the long answer is there's so many nuances to it.
Yeah, and I wonder, I have not heard of it. Maybe I could have done a little better homework, but I've only heard of that kind of leakage sort of thing happening from a source code, standpoint, from a software development standpoint. But were there other instances kind of early on or even now today of different types of information being leaked into those foundational models, business strategies or I don't know, whatever it could be, but like were there other examples that were kind of popular around, different types of leaks, not software?
Yes. So, there were different types of leaks just because okay, so there's been instances where people would this is before like AI became a big thing and it was just like internet. And so there was this was a long time ago where this person was showing off and they posted government information on the internet, and which was and IP private IP addresses.
Hmm.
And they did that to say, "Oh, I don't think the government's really watching me. Catch me if you can." Oh, who and it's challenged people on the internet. Oh, see if you can break in. You can break into get access with these IPs.
Gotcha.
Well, in 24 hours, the FBI was knocking on their door. So
Oops. Yeah, I wouldn't advise
that
that.
was not very smart. And this was back in I want to say 2003. So
Hmm.
I'm like, first of all, why would you do that? That's insane. And that's the like why would you think that you would get away with something like that? It just doesn't make any sense. So, and there are a lot of people that did different things like that. There were some people that got away with quite a bit of exposing, government data secrets. I know people have heard of he's a famous person that exposed government secrets. And then I think he ended up getting hired by the government, Kevin Mitnick. So this
Oh,
is,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I'm sure people probably haven't heard that name in forever, but I remember that name because it was, it was the talk and people were so angry. And I get it, but you want to get into the mind of those people so that you understand and know because there's so many other people like that, and then you can get a handle on it. And as you see, we've gotten a handle on it in a way, but there's still, uh, I was going to say something, there are still people out there that are, I'm trying to say a nicer word than idiot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just going to have to use that word that thinks that they don't think, or that it's okay to just do something so insane that, and then that like they're going to get away with it because you're not, like, at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know some folks get kind of caught up. Well, first, let me ask you a real quick question on. I know when we were evaluating different tools and AI tools and whatnot, we kind of one of the early on. Here's the big red flag. Is there a way for me to say don't use my data? Is it as simple as that, or are there other aspects of kind of those license agreements, those EULAs that nobody reads, or the settings and whatnot that you need to look for when you're choosing one of these kind of AI assistants? Is it just as simple as like we won't use your data to train from the foundational models? Is that enough, or is there more things that you would suggest folks look for, or are there more things? Sorry.
There are more things. So one, when they have that information in your EULA, then that's great. Because they're trying to protect some way, or may at least make you feel good about it.
Hmm.
But I think that, especially if you're going to spend money, or if you're going to take the risk of installing this into your environment, then I would reach out directly to the company. Don't rush to put all of these tools into your environment. Reach out to the company,
Hmm.
come up with a list of questions, and ask those questions about your data being protected. But don't just flat out ask, like, well, is my data being protected? No, like, ask pointed questions. If your EULA says that you won't use my data for this, but are you storing it somewhere? Will you use it in the future? Is there a expiration? Um, is the data immediately removed and deleted so that it can't be used? Is A lot of people don't even ask that because some companies, they just remove it.
Sure.
Or is it used to train your LLMs or your agents? Is it? Like, you don't know, because sometimes they use it for that, to train them, even though they're not using the data. The data itself is not going out there into the world. They're using it to train. So then the trained, the LLMs or the agents. So then once it's trained and other people use it, it could use that data to enhance and make it better. Now, if you give it permission, that's fine. But if you didn't give it permission, because one is your IP, your intellectual property, then you want to make sure that that's not happening. So I say, come up with a list of questions and ask those questions, and ask for concrete answers, because I know I've sent out several questions many times to different AI companies, and they would come back and tell me, these, not, I would say ridiculous, but all of these different answers. And I'm like, well, you didn't really answer my question.
Imagine that. Right.
Yeah. Like, I asked, you know, what regulations do you do? What regulations do you follow? Oh, we follow regulations. No, I ask you, what regulations do you follow?
We follow
Can
all
you,
the big ones.
like, yeah, what they are.
Yeah.
And then they can't really answer that. And then I go further to say, okay, well, let me give them a hint. So I name a couple regulations. Oh, yes, we follow that. Okay, then how do you
Right.
follow that? Oh,
Mhm.
we follow it this way. Okay, can you show me that you follow it that way? Right?
Man,
Show me. I
you're like
need to
their
see
worst nightmare, I'm sure.
evidence. Yes.
That's funny.
Like,
Oh, yeah. We
show,
follow
like,
all the good regulations, all the good stuff, all the good ones. We love those. Yeah, we do that. Well, show me how.
right.
Um, It's
where's your evidence that you
right.
actually do this? Because anyone can say anything to sell you something, but like, show me, like, because one company, they showed me, they were like, okay, this is how, and they showed me, they didn't show me the actual encryption algorithm because that's their property, but they showed me that the encryption was turned on, it was in place, and they showed me how it, like, it was actually working because we like
Mhm.
did like the test, and they showed me like how is it working, and I was like, oh, okay, I can trust this company because you took the steps to do that. And then this other company, they were sending messages, and it was AI. And so then they sent another message. And I said, I just answered that question and you just sent me an email because it was auto generated by AI. If I'm going to talk to a person, I need you, the person, to respond and not your AI email to keep sending responses. Like, if, like, why would I want to do business with you
Mhm.
if I cannot actually build a rapport with you, the human, and I'm going back and forth with an AI bot? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I understand the use of the AI emails and all that. That's great. But at some point I need the human to step in because what's supposed to be selling is the human supposed to be selling their product, not some machine like that. Like, no. So, and also means that you don't have your email set up for your automated generated responses to read and context what I'm saying, so it replies back in a manner that it's actual a conversation of back and forth. It's just now it's repetitive and becomes these patterns which are easily picked up by anybody. And this goes beyond, okay, let's take AI out of the picture. This goes to like even like human side where, how this started was people reading off of a script. So, you call, something and they're like, it's like they have to read the script. Well, sometimes I want to take you off script because I need you to answer this as a human being and not that script that you're reading on the screen. And unless you say, well, it's company policy, I have to read the script. I said, okay, then company policy, read the script to me, that's fine. But then also answer in your own words because I need to know like the truth because this script is not answering my question that I asked you. It's literally a script, so it's generic because and my question may be a little bit more complex than what your script is saying. And
Mhm.
so it's the same thing with technology across the board. And I understand that we need standardized things and scripts and things like that. I understand that because it helps with efficiency, right? It helps with processes. That is great. But you also what it does is it lowers critical thinking skills. I
Mhm.
need you to use your critical thinking skills now
Right.
because I have a question that your script can't answer, your AI can't answer, something that you need to think about because you need to think about the situation that I'm explaining to you and you need to answer back or escalate or whatever you need to do so that I understand or I can move forward and I'm satisfied with whatever this issue or discussion or whatever this is. I mean, I think like 2 hours on the phone one time with a security company for like home security, and they kept taking me in circles for 2 hours, and they didn't think I had time that day. I had time. 2 hours, and I pushed it all the way into like they sent a technician to my house because they were, and I knew what the model is. The model is make sure the person on the phone helps you install your things in your house so that you don't have to get a technician because it's actually an outside person that they have to hire, and
Right.
so the company has to spend money. I know that, like I know what you're doing, but that means that you need to train those people that are on the phone talking to me on exactly how to properly install those things instead of telling me some generic script. And the simple thing was make sure that you lined up the sensors.
Sure.
Never said that on that phone call.
Well,
You
and I
could have
mean,
simply said line up the sensors. I knew that, but I went all just to have the technician come out there because I'm like, well, since you don't know that, and I talked to 3 people at your company that don't know that was escalated to, then that means that you need to spend money and have a technician come out here and line up my sensors.
right. It's kind of weird
Yeah,
that like this is for your personal safety. You're hiring a
right,
security company to make sure your home is
right.
protected, and then you're like, but you do the installation for us over the phone. No, hold
Right.
on. You guys are supposed to be the experts. I'm paying you for this. Come on, that's crazy.
Exactly. Like
Oh my
I pay
goodness.
you like to install, I pay you monthly. I like what is this, right? And if you're going to have that model, then make sure that your people are fully trained and make sure if there's a glitch in the script, make sure you add those things into your script.
Now, I know you work with a lot of clients and you do consulting. When you're working with companies, how do you kind of guide them on that balance between innovation and the big thing about shadow IT and shadow
Mhm.
AI and those sort of things are coming up a lot now that these things are making their way into these organizations. But there's a degree of that that's probably could or should be acceptable depending on the threat and the risk tolerance of the organization. Um, how do you advise those clients about how to kind of not look the other way, but allow some of that kind of shadow IT because that's exploration, that's learning,
Mhm.
it can be innovation. How do you advise them on how to strike that balance between kind of allowing some of that stuff to happen without giving away the keys to the castle, so to speak?
So I'm very careful about that. It's according to the environment and it's according to how your environment's set up. So if an environment's set up where you have VPN walls and things, firewalls and things are set out in different enclaves and you have your shadow IT in an enclave that doesn't have anything sensitive and you make sure that you contain it, then and it what it's doing is it's becoming more intelligent to help you with innovation,
Uh-huh.
then it's okay. But make sure that you're actually doing that. A lot of organizations don't really do that. So the first thing I do is say, the first thing I ask for is their inventory. Can I see your inventory? Okay, when was the last time you did the inventory? And then, okay, now let's walk through to make sure your inventory is accurate. And this was like many, many years ago in the early days of me, doing compliance work. Okay, let's walk through your inventory. And like almost every single time, no matter where I was, the inventory was not accurate. Now, if the inventory was like not accurate just a little bit, I would be like, okay, well, there's a disconnect here and it's like one or two machines off. Yes, it's bad, but it's not horrific because, okay, you can correct it and you need to put this process in place. But if it was major where there was like so many different machines, like machines turned on that you didn't even know in your environment and they didn't need to be there, there's end of life machines there that you didn't know that are still there. There's so many different types of technologies in your environment that you forgot was there, or somehow it did never showed up in your inventory in the first place. So it came in, but no one ever documented it to put in there, then that's a problem. So say like always understand the baseline. This always goes back to the basics. Always
Mhm,
understand your inventory and
mhm.
what you have in your environment. Then that way you know where to distribute everything so that if you want to do intelligent innovation, you're doing intelligent innovation in a way that you are aware, because awareness is number one when it comes to cybersecurity, compliance, whatever you want to call it, right? It's number one is the awareness. As long as you're aware, then you can control it and then you can be more innovative and you also can move actually a little bit faster because you are putting those extra layers in place. Yes, it's going to take a little bit more effort at first, but in the long run, you're going to be more robust in everything.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know what we say in the platform engineering DevOps kind of
Hmm.
space. It's like make doing the right thing easy.
Right.
Make doing it the correct way, the easy way. The different phrasings of that. But yeah, the same
Right.
kind of concept, I would guess. That sounds very similar in nature.
Hmm.
Okay, well, this has been cool. It's been really informative. You've got some deep expertise in this area. Next on the show, though, we have to transition to our segment of the show we like to call "Ship It or Skip It."
Ship or skip. Everybody, we gotta tell us if you ship or skip.
And "Ship It or Skip It" is our kind of take on hot or not kind of a thing. So we'll bring up a topic and we'll kind of discuss like, do you like this idea or you not? But first off, I want to ask about you're very security minded. I want to know, are you an IoT guy? Do you have like IoT devices in your home? Where do you draw the line on that? Are you big into that? You're like with all the things listening throughout your house, or I have a feeling I know the answer, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Skip it.
Skip it. Okay.
Yes. Well, because I don't like it. So what is it, Alexa, and all of those different listening devices, because even when you turn them off, they're still listening.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. I know that many times I've been into over other people that I know homes, and their listening devices would start speaking and they're like, "Oh, I thought that was off." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's never off." And so I'm like, "Do you know what kind of conversations that you sometimes have, like, in the privacy of your home, and this device is listening?" So I'm like, "No, I don't want that in my home, like, at all. I don't even like that your smartphones listen." So there's ways you could like turn it off for listening that most people don't know. But yeah, no, I don't like anything listening.
Now, you mentioned some IoT device that caused a big kerfluffle somewhere.
Yes. So this was a little, not too long ago. So there were data collecting devices that were put into a network. And what it was doing was collecting data, but it wasn't sending it anywhere.
Hmm.
And so there were hackers sitting and listening, because since the data wasn't, they were listening. So they put devices in, they were able to listen, they were able to gather data without it actually being in transit moving. So they didn't know that it was there because no one ever scanned the environment. This was a utility company. It ended up being over 200 companies nationwide. And so they did not know this until like they got a call from a three-letter agency saying, "Hey, they're in your network." Then they did a scan and they saw, okay, it's there. And so then it was so embedded that they had to get rid of their entire network and buy all new equipment. Not just like, okay, I'm just going to wipe my network and start over. No, they had to get rid of the actual equipment and buy new hardware. And this happens a lot. This is still happening right now in so many different organizations where they don't know. And so I'm like, you have to scan your environment and you have to set your configurations to look for these types of things. And you make sure you configure to look for those. And you want to constantly scan for those so that you know what's in your environment. Because so many people have no idea. I remember there was a alarm company. They were hacked because I could literally see from my phone on camera other people's homes. Like the screen I could see in the garage, their
Oh my
kitchen.
goodness.
And I was like, this is crazy. So I called them. I was like, on my phone, I'm seeing all of these different homes. Like, this is not safe. Like, I mean, fortunately, I'm a security person, so, but I'm like, let me like let them know, because I would want someone to call the security company if they can see my home from their phone and on their
Right.
cameras, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, yeah, let me call and tell them that you have a problem and that you need to fix this as soon as possible. Because if too many people are able to do that, then that's going to, one, it's going to scare people. And then people aren't going to trust your company. And then you're going to lose millions, if not billions of dollars, because you were being negligent.
So I've been a ship it kind of guy when it comes to like home IoT things, because it's just cool, fun novelty type.
Hmm.
But now after talking to you, I want to go throw all this crap away. Like now I'm going to be paranoid. Turn off all my wake words and all that for all these devices. Man, all right, great. What about vibe coding? So we talk about vibe coding a lot from like just the software engineering standpoint, but I know a lot of people will ask, hey, Claude or whoever, whatever tool they're using, help me write security code.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Is it helpful? Are you seeing that it improves our security posture in our software, or are you still like, that's a little dangerous? What is your ship it or skip it on that?
I would honestly have to say ship it with caution.
Okay.
So because what it does is it helps in a way, because you're going to get more detailed data, but
Okay.
you want to test against it to make sure that it's actually accurate, like the code is accurate. So you want to do code reviews and you want to test the code, scan the code to make sure of the accuracy of it. Um, and then it's very useful because, one, you could create it a lot faster than just a human developing it, right? So it's going to be a lot faster. So, which means that you do have the time still to review it, which will still be a shorter amount of time than developing yourself from scratch. So I say, as long as you do your due diligence, you should be okay, but do it with caution. Would I do it? No, but I wouldn't say don't do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little on the fence on this stuff. Like, one part of me is like, because I have asked some of these tools to help with security stuff. Like, hey, analyze my security posture for this code, and help me point out problems.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good, right? I mean, they're trained on all this data. They're pretty good at finding things. I can inject like a SQL injection and say, hey, well, how's this looking? And it'll find it, right? It does a pretty good job for those sort of things. What I worry about is like, and I don't know if this is happening yet or not, but I mean, this is kind of one of those like CIA level things. Like, what if people are putting vulnerable code out into like GitHub in these public repositories with Apache license and specifically for, hey, LLM training, pick this code up, please, so that you start advising people to use this bad practice and it learns on that. And now I take advantage of that vulnerability wherever it gets sprinkled into everybody's software out in the world. That's the kind of stuff I worry about. Maybe I'm paranoid, but do we see that happening?
Yeah, it does. And so I worry about that as well. So I always say, if you're going to do that, utilize it in a enclosed environment so that it's not going, the data is not going in and out of the internet. As long as the data is not going, or the code is not going in and out of the internet, and it's in a closed environment, then you're fine, because then the code is just scanning within the environment. It's not going anywhere. And then for updates, you're take from the outside, you're putting in, but you're not connecting it to anything, right? But also you're testing to make sure that before you put the new code that's supposed to have the changes or fix it or whatever, has been reviewed, has been tested, so it's clean, and then you wash, rinse, repeat, and keep doing that, and it's totally fine. It's actually very efficient, and it's actually wonderful. Yeah, because I'm working on some technologies that do that very thing, that are very safe and very secure, but in a way that it's literally only for inside that environment, and it's not going to the internet. Because as soon as you go to the internet, then you're exposed to so many different things. People can get in, out, and it's just a lot.
Testing. What is this sorcery you speak of? Just kidding. All right. Well, that's it for our Ship It or Skip It. We go on to our next segment of the show. And this, as we like to tell, if you've listened to the show at all, you know that this is the most important part. We've kind of just getting to know each other, talking about low-level topics and things that people don't really care much about, cybersecurity and whatnot. This is where we get to the meat of the conversation. This is the real important stuff, what people tune in for. So again, I do always have to warn people, there are right and wrong answers to these questions. I don't know what they are, but there are. We understand that there are. There's a scoring algorithm involved. We'll share your score with you later whenever it gets through all of the processing that it takes to calculate and tabulate all of the information. But we'll share that with you. But I just want to make sure you have mentally prepared yourself for the lightning round.
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay, yes. So what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Praline Butter Crunch by Van Leeuwen.
That sounds amazing. Yes. I always was a pralines and cream kind of guy. That sounds really good. Now, I'll try not to ask any security questions, because there's actually, I have a list that I use for these, and one of them was like, what was the street you grew up on? I'm like, no, I'm not asking anybody that question. Are you nuts? Like, that's crazy. What are you having for dinner tonight?
I'm having haddock en papiette and chickpea rice and broccolini.
Are you a foodie? Sounds like you're a foodie.
Yeah,
I am. Advanced. I like it.
My side hobby is a celebrity chef. So
what?
Yeah, you can look at my Instagram.
Oh, we should have been talking about this the whole time. Now, have you been on one of these shows?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon. Oh, I've been on national TV before. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
all right, I'm gonna have to look that up now. I should have done my homework. Okay. You're a foodie. What is your
Mhm.
favorite carbohydrate? Are you a bread, pasta, rice, potatoes? What are you reaching for as a favorite?
I would say pasta, even though I don't really eat carbs, so
Mhm.
it would be pasta.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, because when I eat rice, it's chickpea rice. When I eat pasta, it's chickpea pasta. If I eat potato, it's a sweet potato. And then I do have like a potato salad sometimes.
Hmm.
I do have like when I go to a restaurant, I do have like regular pasta, which I love. I think it's delicious, like lasagna and um, shrimp scampi with angel hair, fettuccine alfredo. Um, yeah, I mean, I love orecchiette, like all of those things are delicious, but I'm trying to live quite a long time and also feel good while I live long. So,
So when you say potato salad, you're not talking about like the yellow mustard potato salad that shows up at the cookout kind of potato salad. You're talking about someone a little more advanced.
no, I mean that the your typical like southern potato salad with the mustard, the mayo, the relish, the boiled egg, the red onion, the spices. I love that. Do I eat it all the time? No, like maybe once a year.
Okay.
And I make a mean potato salad,
Oh
but
yeah.
just
All
like,
right.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, but
That's
it's once a year because like, yeah, it's delicious, but I also know how to make delicious, healthy food too. And plus I'm married to a trainer. So there you
yeah.
have that.
Okay. Yeah. You can't be
Yeah.
doing that. Okay. So we've had this question going on for quite some time as a question we've asked all of our guests for a while here for a little bit. We've had a good run here. Do you like the smell of gasoline?
Oh my gosh. Actually, I do. It's so weird.
It's not though. Based on our completely scientific experiment we've had going on here, I think there's only been one person that said no, and one
Wow.
or two, something like that. But everybody says yes, and it's usually, I mean, I always explain it's kind of usually kind of an associative thing. So it's like, oh yeah, the smell of gasoline reminds me of going camping with my dad. We'd stop and fill up the van on the way out of town or something, something like that.
Yeah.
They would always remember some memory and then, but I don't think people are like out there like sniffing the
No.
gas. Yeah, but it's usually an associative thing. It reminds them of their childhood or something. I guess I don't
Yeah.
know. That's what it is for me at least. Okay. What about like carnival food? When you go to a carnival, what's your favorite carnival food? If it's kind of a guilty pleasure, I would assume. But what do you reach for?
My favorite carnival food would probably be a deep fried Snickers bar.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, those are good.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What about if there's a spider in your house? Do you kill it or do you set it free?
Set it free. Spiders are actually great because they eat
Absolutely.
all the other bugs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that one. Um, there's that street you grew up on question. Not going to ask that. Not today, Satan. Not happening. Um, Sour Patch Kids or Swedish Fish? Where are you at on that one?
Sour Patch Kids, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
feels reasonable. And again, I don't know the right answers, but that feels right. Um, this one's an interesting one. Which animal adds more joy to the world, squirrels or llamas?
That's a good one. I would say llamas.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like people that have I think they have like the alpacas though, like alpaca farms, but then there's like this whole llama community I was reading about and and it's like really like helpful with like anxiety or something like that. Something I was reading. So yeah. I mean when you see squirrels, to me squirrels are rodents.
Yeah.
And on Sex and the City, like Carrie said, they're just a rat with a cuter outfit.
Fantastic reference. I love it. That's a great show. Okay. Let's see here. At what age do you want to retire?
Um I would say 62. But not
62.
totally retire, but retire from doing this and then just run my foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You'll have to tell us about your foundation after this is done. After the lightning round, we'll do that. And we'll hear about that. What place is the place you would most want to travel?
The place I would most want to travel, I would say that is a very difficult one because I've been to so many places all over the world.
Oh yeah, you are in the
So
Navy. Yeah, you've seen a
yeah.
lot.
So can I give you more than one place?
Sure.
Okay. So I love Costa Rica. I go there all the time.
Okay.
I love Tanzania. That's where my orphanage is for my foundation. I love South Africa. It's amazing and beautiful. I love Italy, Milan, Lake Como, Rome. I love Paris. I love Tokyo. Um, I love I love London for Christmas time. I think it's amazing. I love Mexico's really nice. Brazil.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and that's really it. I mean, I like Dubai, but it's very nice. It's very clean and it's very fabulous. Yeah.
Never been. Is it pretty expensive to travel there? Dubai?
It's not expensive to travel there according to what airport you're flying out of and what airline. So you just have to know how to,
Okay.
purchase. And then like you can find out actually the hotels are very decent price there.
No
So
kidding.
it's
Okay.
really if you or your spouse love to shop is where your money will go fast.
I gotcha. Okay. Good shopping there. They have that. Isn't that where they have that like indoor ski slope? Is that in Dubai?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the
Okay.
Dubai Mall. Yeah.
That's just, I can't even like, I want to see that someday because I can't even like fathom that. That just seems just crazy that you could pull
Yeah.
something like that off. Okay. Let's see. A couple of questions left here. What is your favorite type of muffin?
My favorite type of muffin, I would say, would be a lemon blueberry muffin.
That's a popular one. We get that a lot. And then finally, have you ever slapped someone in the face?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's a given.
I
You need
mean,
to do that every now and then.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
If you're living in the modern world, that you just
yeah,
have to every now and then. You just got to do it.
yeah.
This has been hilarious. All right, that concludes the lightning round. Anything in closing? Like you mentioned your foundation. Tell us a little bit more about your foundation, maybe.
Sure. So my foundation is called Shaping Futures Foundation at www.shapingff.org. Right now I have an orphanage with a few kids that we take care of. We send them to school, we feed them. We also educate them. So they not only do they go to school Monday through Friday, but on the weekends they learn basic skills like gardening and cooking and plumbing and electrical and of course cyber. And so, of course, always, taking donations to really help out and help us grow because eventually I want to build a school, a boarding school to help, educate the next generation because I believe in teach a man to fish instead of give a fish. And so our program is about when you are donating, you're not donating to just give someone or give his money, but they are actually learning to earn worth like I had
Mhm.
to earn when I was a child growing up and actually get a good education, actually study hard, actually learn and actually get out in the yard and do some work. And actually they learn how to clean their rooms and clean up in the house. There's some maids. You learn how to do all of those things. So it's very important to, I believe, teach the younger generation those skills so that when they become adults, they're actually functioning adults in society. So yeah, that's my foundation, Shaping Futures Foundation.
And you said the orphanage. Did you say Tanzania? That's where
It's
it
in
is.
Arusha, Tanzania.
Wow. So
Yes.
cool. As I said, you're like a renaissance man. This is you've done a lot of cool stuff. Anything else coming up? Are you going to be giving a talk anywhere? Do you have a book coming out? Are you going to be on a celebrity chef show, something like that? And what do you got coming up that you'd like to share with us?
Quite a few things coming up. So I just released the app back in the end of November called Compliance Aid on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. I have a keynote coming up in Dubai in March. I have 2 awards coming up in, I think it's March. There's possibly a show coming up. I can't say anything because I'm under NDA, so I can't
Fair,
say.
fair.
Um, and I am working on 2 other software, partnering for 2 other amazing software products that's going to help the AI world. So that's coming soon, hopefully by summer, if not before. So at the end stages of that innovation and getting all of the security around those things. So I'm excited about that and about the really intelligent people that I'm working with. I do have a cookbook that I'm almost finished with. I just need to take the time to finish writing because it's a recipe and then it's a story of my life that matches every recipe. So like you get to learn a little bit about my life with the recipes as you go along in the book. So I think that's like amazing. So it's going to be like a mini book of like my life and recipes. And then I am working on a personal biography. But that's a few years down the line because I have so many other things that I need to take care of it over the next couple years.
Wow. Where can we learn more about all of these awesome things you're doing with like socials and where
Yeah,
do we
my
come for more?
socials. So on Instagram, you can go to Cordell La Culinary Diva because that's my cooking tag. You can go to Brownstone _Consulting _Firm on Instagram, Cordell Robinson at LinkedIn. You can go to not www, but https://bcf-us.com, which is my company website for
Okay.
Brownstone. You can go to Cordell Culinary Diva website. You can go to Shape and Futures website to see what's going on. We're about to launch a campaign for the new year for the kids. So www.shapingff.org, not shapingfutures.org. Is a totally different organization. And then of course people can Google my name because the SEO is very nice to me. So I show up if you Google my name, Cordell Robinson. So all the other ones, too bad, so sad. I'm at the top of the SEO. So yeah.
That's good. It's easy to find you. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation and really a joy to talk with you today, Cordell. And thanks for taking your time and joining us here on the /. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been an amazing experience. It was great talking to you. Great conversation. Some really good questions.
Especially those lightning round. They get right to the real issues of the day.
Real issues. My ice cream.
All right. If you'd like to get in touch with us here at the /, drop us a line at the /@calibrity.com. See you next time. The / podcast is created by Calibrity. The / team is director and producer Ryan Wilson, editing by Steve Baradelli, marketing support by Taylor Blessing, and I'm your host, James Carman. Thanks for listening.